Because the reality is, data rings hollow. Principles themselves don't really persuade. On the other hand, welcome to the Spinoso Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Alex Spinoso. My experience and expertise is in scaling all types of medical businesses to 7, 8, and 9 figures. And I'm sharing my journey to having multiple 8-figure companies and someday, hopefully, enjoying a 9-figure exit. This isn't a podcast telling you you should do this. I'm just telling you how I did this, and I hope that helps you. I want to help you build your business, take ownership of your life, and become a better leader at home and at work. And guys, I'd love to connect with you, especially if you're a medical entrepreneur. I have free courses available to help you scale your medical business. Check those out at dralexspinoso.com/courses. That is dralexspinoso.com/courses. I also invite you to connect with me on Instagram at Dr. Alex Spinoso, LinkedIn at the same, and every other platform, YouTube, etc. I am always Dr. Alex Spinoso. Thanks for listening. What's up, Spinoso podcast fam? All 7 of you. All right, let's get into it. So I've always had an admiration for Napoleon Bonaparte. Not to be confused with Napoleon Dynamite. Shut up. Napoleon Bonaparte was French. I am Italian. That's one difference. A better difference, if you will. However, he was very short. I am very short. He was a genius. I'd like to be a genius. I'm not, but I do have an always be learning mentality. He was a conqueror. I am working on that one. Though he conquered countries, that would be actually kind of fun. I'm more interested in conquering the world of business, specifically the world of medical and aesthetic entrepreneurship. At any rate, why would I bring up Napoleon? Well, the dude has a lot of great quotes, but one quote of his has always stuck with me because it's well said, and it's 100% true. Here it is. The human race is governed by its imagination. Let me say that again. The human race is governed by its imagination. Now, there's a couple directions I could go with that in terms of its application to success in business and in life. You use your imagination and visualization. And visualization is scientifically proven to help you achieve your goals. But what I want to talk about is the imagination's power to influence. It has the power to influence your team. It has the power to influence your clients. And the reality is most people could use it more frequently and effectively every day of their lives to be more successful, to be happier. But guess what? They don't. And it's really, really stupid. Let me give you an example. By now, I've done a handful of conferences for people in the medical and aesthetic world. Most of these conferences are focused on providing insight and tools to improve the overall success of the business. In short, they are designed to help medical businesses make more money. And along with that, the conferences are often hosted by companies that want to sell their products and services. In order to help the actual participants, the clinic owners make more money. Okay, sounds understandable, right? Here's the problem. There are too many fucking doctors serving as presenters at these conferences. Look, I got really nothing against doctors. I am one. Except that somehow most doctors are really, really smart, but also total morons. What I mean by this is that they think people are ultimately convinced by data. They think information alone is persuasive. It's not. I mean, it's essential, but it's not enough. So what happens is that these doctors get up to give these presentations, and they're full of charts, and they're full of diagrams, and they're filled with numbers, and they're filled with studies. And by the end of the presentation is successful at putting people to sleep. Big fucking yawn. Sorry about that. That actually came on cue. To persuade people, I've learned you have to actually move them emotionally. To move them emotionally, you have to capture their imagination. To capture their imagination, you have to tell stories. That's what I did in my presentation. I had some basic facts, yes. I had some proven principles, yes. I had studies and data, yes. But the majority of my time was spent illustrating what I was trying to communicate through stories. So I shared my personal entrepreneurial journey. I talked about working at prison, living in a tiny house with crack addicts. I talked about how great it was to sell my shitbox Scion and finally get to buy a McLaren. I shared a very personal story about buying my dad his dream car. The result? Massively positive feedback for my talk. A bunch of people reached out to connect with me, and we sold a good amount of product at every single conference. What I'm trying to say is, if you're trying to influence people, if you're trying to make an impact on them, if you're trying to leverage this to become more happy and successful, go back through your life. Try to remember key moments in your life. Look for powerful moments. Look for emotional moments. Start putting together a list of stories that you can tell that will help you illustrate what you are trying to communicate. Because the reality is, data rings hollow. Principles themselves don't really persuade. On the other hand, Napoleon was right. The human race is governed by its imagination. So, find your stories. Tell your stories. Use them in business. Use them in life. Because what Napoleon said was retold even better by a Native American proverb. Those who tell the best stories rule the world.